So now to this week's Formula One segment with returning Peter Long. We haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, we've had a little, like a month hiatus there.
Yeah, well, we all need vacations, right? So we'll talk about this past weekend's race at Sochi, the inaugural Russian Grand Prix, on an amazing course that they put together. Any thoughts on the course before we get into race recap?
Yeah, the circuit was definitely nice layout. I mean, you know, they just had the Winter Olympics there, and they kind of it's a street circuit. It's all the way around the park, so you get to see some of the installations from the Olympics. You know, being a new track, the track was obviously very slippery. You know, it wasn't not a lot of rubber laid down on the track, so. But the drivers all said it was great. You know, they all enjoyed racing it, even though it was a little green, obviously, a lot of oil in the track because it's relatively new. First race on it. But yeah, it looked like a challenging circuit for sure.
Yeah, from what I saw, it definitely did. Some of the corners, just from the like the drawing of the track, wow. Just to recap the race, Hamilton won, I believe, right?
Yeah, Hamilton got pole, and he straight away, you know, beat Rosberg to the first corner. But then Rosberg quickly caught up to him, and it looked like he was going to pass him, but it looked like it was just a, you know, he was making some adjustments on his steering wheel and forgot to brake. So he ended up, you know, locking up all four wheels, putting on a little smoke show, going straight off the track. Luckily, didn't take Hamilton out with him, as he, you know, because basically this was Rosberg, and Hamilton needed to turn here, and he went straight. So luckily, didn't take Hamilton out. But in the process of doing that, he flat spotted his tires. He was getting a lot of vibration, and basically had to pit on I guess the second lap or the first time around. He had to pit and put on a fresh set of intermediates. You know, Formula One, you got to race both sets of tires, so you know that's part of the regulations. So you got to use the soft tires and you got to use the intermediate tires. So that plays into their strategy. Rosberg went on to do all 53 laps with those intermediates, and he was very competitive. You know, so you know again, just shows that the track was not really rubbered in, wasn't really wearing the tires that much. But you know, for him to come and finish in second was a pretty good race for him. You know, it's nice to see Hamilton win his fourth in a row, leading the championship. Of course, last time we spoke, Rosberg was leading the championship, but now he's reeled off 4 straight wins. He's leading the championship. Of course, they locked up the Constructors' Championship. I was actually just looking at a picture that was tweeted by Hamilton on Twitter. A selfie of him and Rosberg with basically the whole factory behind them celebrating the Constructors' Championship, which is the big money in Formula One. I mean, the Drivers' Championship is obviously what the drivers want, but you know, the money they get back, you know, is all about Constructors' points. So they're going to make some big bucks.
Wow. All right. So looking ahead to us, actually, the United States Grand Prix in a couple of weeks, or next weekend, or a couple weeks.
It's the 31st, so it's 3 weeks, or I guess 2.5 weeks now.
Wow. Man, that's a long way out, but
well,
close.
They have to go from Russia to the United States. I mean, that's a logistical nightmare for them because they have a lot of stuff to bring over to prepare, so that's why they have the 3-week break in between. It's not really a break, but gives times for the drivers to go back to their factories, gives times for the teams to ship their stuff over here and start setting up, you know, at the facility. So, but 2 races left. You know.
Yeah.
The Japanese race the week before Russia. I mean, I guess you heard about that. It was, you know, it was stopped early. Sutil hit the wall as they were under, so that created a caution, and then one of the rescue vehicles came out and was removing Sutil's car when Jules Bianchi, who drives for the Marussia team, ran off the track and hit the vehicle, literally bounced that vehicle up in the air. So you have to imagine the amount of speed he was going in the forest, and he's still in serious condition in a Japanese hospital. And it's safe to say that Jules Bianchi's career as an F1 driver is over, which is quite sad. He's only 25 years old. He's from France. He actually got Marusha's first point in Monaco this year, which again reflects good for him and the team. He had a brilliant future. I think that a lot of people were looking at him to fill some holes next year. Since we've last talked, there's also, other than Jules Bianchi, which was a really sad note, and again, it's a very serious injury. I mean, they gave it a term, but basically what happens is his brain kind of ripped, because of the sheer impact of the. So there's obviously some brain damage there. There'll be some loss of gross motor and fine motor ability. So yeah, it's safe to say that his driving career is over, and just hope that he can pull out of it and have some sort of productive life out of it. Because he's really in a rough situation right now. And that was the shortened race, and of course Hamilton ended up winning that one too. At that race, actually, there was a lot of talk. Alonso is leaving Ferrari. Surprise, surprise. And nobody knows where he's going. And the 4-time world champion, Sebastian Vettel, is leaving Red Bull and going to fill that seat at Ferrari. So it looks like Ferrari will be Vettel and Raikkonen. And who knows what's going to happen to Alonso. There's been a lot of speculation that he'll go to McLaren, but that hasn't been confirmed. And, he raced for McLaren at one point, and they didn't exactly part on amicable terms. I think Alonso even sued McLaren for $100 million, so it was kind of surprised that he was going back there. But who knows? Now they're talking about maybe he's not even going to have a seat. Maybe he'll take a year off. Who knows? So Alonso's fate is unsure, going into the future. Red Bull decided to fill that seat, Vettel's empty seat, with they're using the new kid, Kvyat, the Russian, who actually qualified really well at the Sochi Grand Prix, but ended up doing miserable in the race. So Kvyat and Ricciardo will be the Red Bull drivers next year. Of course, they've got the young Verstappen coming into the junior Red Bull team, the Toro Rosso team. And I don't know who else is going in other than him. But yeah, there's a lot of, they call it the silly season in Formula One because there's a lot of rumors, and right now there's some changes being made. So interesting to see how that'll develop, see where Alonso will end up.
So it's starting.
It looks like Rosberg and Hamilton will stay at Mercedes, though.
So we're starting to get toward the end of the season, and people are starting to switch around. Happens in every sport, really.
Right.
A question for you. You said that they the next race, as we had said, is the United States Grand Prix, and they give them a couple weeks to get all the equipment over here. I thought Formula One teams had basically almost like a factory over here, because Canada and now the United States Grand Prix.
No, the factories, even the Mercedes factories in England, it's at Brackley. No, all the factories are in Europe. Most of them actually even in England. There are no teams that have bases here in the United States. There is a new Formula One team supposedly coming on, US F1, but they're not coming in for another couple of years. So they'll probably have a factory here. But no, there's no factories here in the United States. So they got to bring everything over. They got to fly it. They got to fly it over. And they got a lot of people that they have to fly over, a lot of equipment, and it's not a big deal here. I mean, they were able to get out of the Japanese Grand Prix, and it's just a short hop to Russia, for the last race from Japan. There was only a 1-week break in between, but with the typhoon that was threatening, and that affected the Grand Prix race itself, I mean, people didn't know if they would be able to get out in time to be able to go set up for the Russian Grand Prix, but they did.
Oh, wow.
They got plenty of time to get to the Grand Prix, but they do not have factories in the United States.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if they had team shops here where they're North America headquarters or something like that.
No.
But looking ahead to the United States Grand Prix, going from a brand new track to a couple-year new track, have the drivers and teams has their notebook built up enough to have enough confidence going into the United States Grand Prix, or is it still that unknown of what exactly is going to happen?
Well, first of all, whenever there's a new track, I mean, they've got these things set up on simulators, so they know exactly what the specs are of the track, and they go into even a new track having a general idea of how they're going to take their corners, the best way around the track, the speeds, the angles, everything. And then, that's what practice is all about, is just to create the best setup. Every track is a little different. Some require a lot of downforce. A lot of them require a little downforce, so, they can have bigger wings, smaller wings. And of course, certain tracks are best suited for certain teams. Like Red Bull doesn't have a powerful engine like the Mercedes engine. The Renault engine just isn't as powerful, just like the Ferrari engine. But they have great aerodynamic design. So if you get into a course like Japan, where there was a lot of turns and S's, they were able to do very well there. But when you get a track like Sochi, which is basically, they're wide open 70+% of the time, very difficult for them to compete, and that's why they were way on the bottom of the field,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't even think Vettel got out of the second round of qualifying,
Jeez. Okay. Well, we'll try to keep this short. Anything else you would like to say looking back at Sochi or looking ahead to the United States Grand Prix?
Well, it's really getting exciting now. I mean, Hamilton, of course, as you know, is my driver, so I like it that he's ahead, but there's still the United States, and then the last race of the year is double points, so first place is 50 points as opposed to 25, so anything can happen. Somebody wins that race, and the guy who's in second, does not finish. Well, that could swing the championship right there, so not sure I like that, but at the same time, it's certainly adding an element of excitement. And, I guess everybody in F1 right now is just really thinking about Jules Bianchi and hoping that he pulls through from that horrific crash that he suffered in Japan under crazy conditions. So send our best to him, and let's finish this season and go Hamilton.
All right. Well, that will do it for this week's Formula One talk with you. We'll definitely see each other in a couple weeks. We won't forget you. We'll see each other in a couple weeks after United States Grand Prix.
All right.